Okay, so we're up to chapter 3. So chapter 3, the Bemba proverb is inganda oshilalamo vaikumbwa umtenge. You admire the roof of the house you don't live in. So
How good is the translation?
the translation is close. I just thought about this just now of Okumbwa Oshila, like Okulalamo is sleep in, like the direct translation is sleep in. I think here I kind of use the wider translation of you admire the roof of the house you don't live in. But
Mm.
the actual kind of like direct translation of the word is like the house you don't sleep in. Has a lot of like intricate meaning to it, because if you think about sleep and your bedroom and how intimate your bedroom is, they use sleep because it's an intimate space. They didn't use live in, sit in, but sleep has also the fact that you could be unconscious and anyone could do anything to you, right? Like it's a very intimate space. So I love that deeper sense because it actually gives you a deeper essence of you can admire a house, but if you don't sleep in there, if your intimate moments are in there, you have no idea what's happening
Yeah.
in there, right?
Yeah.
And if you can't be comfortable and sleep in, a home, and sleeping in a place is about comfort and security, you have no clue. Some people might, their houses are great, but they're not sleeping in there. There's war zones all over the place, that
Oh
house.
yeah.
They're not able to sleep, you know? I think the additional kind of intricate to it, living gives it the expense, but the ushilalamo is actually like sleeping in a place. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really beautiful. And I like the emphasis on the sleep in because, you know, sleep is it's it's like your place of comfort. It
Mm,
is a big definition of home.
yeah.
Like for a place to be home, you have to sleep there. Like, and I'll give an example because I don't know exactly how to connect it well. So like recently I started to go camping, right?
Mm.
And
Is this camping where you're glamping or camping where you're actually sleeping in a tent?
well,
And
we do actually sleep in a tent, right? And here's my experience has been the first night it's really hard to sleep because you're
mm,
not sleeping in your place of sleeping, right?
comfort, secure place. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
so like for me, hearing you describe, the emphasis was, it was like, yes, that discomfort of like, tossing and turning, trying to find your comfort and wondering what could be going around on the outside.
What's going to
Uh,
creep in?
exactly, because you don't have that at
Yeah.
the campsite. At home, you don't think about that because, you know, every time you sleep, that hasn't happened. Like you just
Mm,
lie in your bed. It's normal. Like it's exactly where you left it, and you go there, you lie down, you sleep because it's exactly that. And
yeah.
in what is that? Is it the Odyssey? Right? In the
Mm.
Odyssey, this guy comes back from his journey. I forget his name. The guy who goes on the journey, right? He
I have
comes.
no clue who the guy who goes on the journey is, so I'm going to leave that with you. But I know
Oh,
the book.
yeah, but there is a guy who goes on a journey anyway, and he comes back home, and he goes on for like a whole chapter complaining about his bed. Apparently, his bed had been moved, and the
Mm.
way they made beds those days, they were made out of trees that actually grew in the ground, and so he was like, it was so secure, it could not be moved. How could anyone have moved it? Maybe it was a god or something. But like the reason it reminds us is like the whole emphasis around the bed and the sleeping, and it's like if you secure your place of sleep,
Mm.
it is a big part of security in terms of like of the homeliness. It feeds into that homeliness. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And for me, it also delves into maybe some things that we talked about as well in chapter one around comparison, around privilege, because, you will go, if you're a Melbourne person, you will go in Turak and you're like, yo, listen, these are $60 million mansions. Like, the houses are just flowing with opulence, you know? And you look at that and you're like, this is where I want to be. But the reality of the person who sleeps in that house might be they're having sleepless nights because they're
Yeah,
thinking how they're paying for these rates.
yeah,
But also, maybe they don't care about rates, but they need to work ridiculous hours so they can afford this life,
yeah,
right? So it's easy for you to kind of picture this and go, great. But when you get into those shoes, then you're like, listen, give me my 9 to 5 because I used to sleep great. I used to have time for my family.
mhm,
I don't.
yeah,
Um, and that reality, you don't know it until you're in it. You can easily admire it from the outside, but when you actually have to walk in those shoes and then all of a sudden you're like, these people never spend time with their family. These people are always traveling. Your partners are all over the world. You need to go and talk to all the partners, all the clients. They're never home. And is that, quality versus quantity, wholesomeness of life? There's other things in life than these beauties that we can only see from the outside type of thing.
yeah, totally. And it reminds me of trying to, you know, when you're trying to own values that are not yours,
Mm.
right? Yeah, it's very much, like I'll try and take my ass's values, like, and try them on. Maybe I could become like my ass, but there's a reason my ass is my ass, and I'm me, right?
Yeah.
And part of that separation is, we have different shoes to walk in,
Mm.
right? And trust me, like, you try it, then you get to the point of what you have to tolerate, and then you realize, oh, I have no tolerance for that. I guess that is why, like, that is why I'm not gonna live in a $60 million house,
This
and
is
that's
why
okay.
this kind of, and I think the last part that you've said, that is okay. That is something that even I struggle with, because you're trying to balance aspirations. You're trying to balance, like, obviously, if you want to strive for something, you want to aspire for something, go
Mm,
for it. But are those aspirations realistic to your values, realistic to your way of life and how you want to have um life, and how much energy you actually have, right? Like, if you're 20 and chasing your dream at 600%, sure. But if you start getting to 50 and you're at 600%, one day you clunk out and you'll be like, what? Wait, I never got a chance to just hang out and just have chats like this.
yeah, yeah, and you don't take it as seriously at that point, because you have that tunnel vision. You're chasing what you're chasing, uh, but that goes back to what we're talking about in the first one, right?
Yeah.
Like, that privilege, like, is it what you choose? Is that the
Mm,
privilege you would choose if you
mm,
had?
yeah. Yeah. And some of it, this is the antiness in me coming out right now, because I feel like some of it comes with age. And when you become very comfortable in your own values, in your own power, in your own essence, it takes others longer than others to get there. And it's all a journey. But until you reach that point to really just be, even in this space that you're in, you are powerful,
Mm.
you'll always be chasing.
Yes, yes, you have to. you have to come to the place where you appreciate, actually you realize the power that you hold and appreciate it,
Yeah.
and learn to walk with it,
Yeah.
because those are all steps, right? Like if you don't know, if you don't realize that, and if you're not yet at the point where you realize that and have that appreciation and even learn to work with your with the power that you
Yeah.
possess, uh, you're going to abuse it in many ways, and you're going to try and trade it for other things that you will be less satisfied with. Um,
Mhm.
but I think the challenge is that is like coming to that place where you honor that power and learn to actually hone it and use it. Remember, this guy with the hammer, Thor and the hammer. It's like everybody thinks like it's just about the hammer. It's like, oh no, it's not. He tries to explain it to them, but nobody gets it. It's like, yeah, you just lift it up. It's like, well, you try,
You
and nobody can lift it up. It's like,
can, nobody can. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. And it's very much that. And this is, I think for me over the years, and not saying I don't, I will be like, woo, my goodness, this mansion is great. But listen, where there's 100 million mansion, there's a 200 million mansion. Where
yeah,
there's a 200 million mansion, there's a three, like, there will always be something bigger, something more, something. Um, the Bezoses and them, they have finished everything on Earth. Now they're going to Mars. They're going out of space because they've finished everything. Like, what next? What
yeah,
next? What
yeah,
next for them is conquering space. Um, yeah, so there'll always be something to admire. And if you don't ground yourself in the parts of it is contentfulness, I think.
mm,
Parts of it is just, this is my lane and I'm taking my journey, and my journey is taking me where I need to be. I
yeah.
don't need to be in Clayton's journey, and accepting that, I'm like, yeah,
Mm,
for me, that is my fulfillment. That is my wholeness. I do still want to be able to aspire for things, not
yeah.
saying don't aspire for things, but I aspire for things knowing that it's a journey to get there. I'm aspiring for things that are going to make my life how I want to live every day more wholesome. Not how I want to live in 5 years' time.
Yes, yes, it's good. Like and if you're a Bezos or on a Musk, and you need to kind of like go conquer Mars, well, good on you, because like I mean, you've done what you
Next,
need to do, right? Like
Earth.
you've exhausted your potential on Earth, uh, but also you like I guess we have to appreciate our limits
Hmm.
and also challenge them, like don't be complacent, right? Of course, like really
Listen for.
be, yeah, be intentional, work hard, but exhaust your potential, like,
Hmm.
but before you can exhaust it, you have to identify it.
Yeah.
What is it? What are those things that you have been gifted in, like what can
Mhm.
you do with them? Um and like do that, uh but don't do it because of someone else or because
Oh,
of
it's so
other reasons. Yeah. Like I want to be the next mask, or I want to be the next, whoever. Is like, no, 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 you be the next Mayase.
Mhm.
I want
And
to be the next me.
next year, an evolution. I mean, listen, we had ChatGPT 3, we have ChatGPT 4, we have ChatGPT, I don't know what is it called, 0.1 or whatever it's starting. Like, we need to evolve and evolve ourselves and be comfortable with our evolution of like, yeah, I shed that skin, I have evolved into this. And that is also like really powerful
Yeah.
as a human, to kind of like just evolve who you are as a person, and where your soul is kind of like, yes, I am comfortable in this bucket.
Yeah. And I think once you find that, that home, that
Mhm.
that place where you can sleep, right?
Yeah.
Then you know how you know how to go from there and try and maximize your potential. But you have to identify it. Like you could be thinking that you have a home, yet you're actually in a
Yeah,
tent. You're not even sleeping.
actually, a bed is not made out of strong trees. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and that is work. I feel even working through the different proverbs, for me, it's about teaching you how to live life, teaching you how to be a better human, but it's work.
yeah,
And maybe work is a bad word because people associate work with like tiresomeness or that. But I mean, in the essence of like, it is part of growing and being a human.
yeah.
You need to do something, so some kind of, maybe some of it is mundane tasks on yourself.
Mhm.
Maybe it's a lot of soul work. Maybe it's spiritual work. Whatever it is, you need to do some work on yourself.
Oh, not some work. Actually, it's interesting you say that. You reminded me of a certain term. It's called being autopoetic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's attributed, like they say humans, we are autopoetic creatures, like we're the creatures that have to make themselves,
Mm,
and we live in a reality that is also making itself. And so it's a double challenge. It's like if you don't go to work to make yourself, then there's a self that is happening to you that you still have to live in.
yeah,
And yeah, so you could go to work, like if you intend to, like, go work on it,
yeah,
or it will happen to you,
yeah,
and then you could be stuck in a place whereby uh you're frustrated by your own life because it's happening to you and you're not being a protagonist in it. Like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. You're
yeah,
not the author of your own story.
yeah,
What is that? Um, just thinking of all these African proverbs that go until the lion learns to write, the hunter will always be the something like
yeah, yeah. Something about that, the hunter.
yeah,
Yeah.
the hunter because everything is written in the hunter's perspective. I killed this animal.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I am great.
They
And I
don't tell about the all the other hunters who lost.
exactly how this lion has been killing people before it got killed
Yeah,
because the lion hasn't written the story of all these other hunters that it conquered.
yeah,
And that is it. I think that there's a lot in like your own ownership of and I like the reality in reality, like you have your own reality, but also you're in the reality of the world, right? So if you think you're not choosing, either way,
yeah.
that is a choice.
Yes.
And
Not
so
choosing is a choice.
either way, it's a choice. There's no like, okay, I'm just there's always, even that is a choice. Yeah.
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 Wow, that's when you kind of go like, what? Reality is harsh. It's like, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, welcome.
That's
And
the
you're going
game.
to live this, and other people are also going to live this. So get used to it.
Awesome. All right. Up
Love
next will
it.
be chapter 4.